Welcome to Game Over, Kids Are Up. Before we get going, let's do a dad joke. Why can't you hear the pterodactyl go to the toilet? Because the P is silent. Okay, alright, let's get to the actual video. Hogwarts Legacy is not perfect. I love the game, and I've spent over 150 hours in it, but I'm not going to pretend that it's perfect. It does a lot of things right, but there's a lot of things that it could do a lot better. So without any further ado whatsoever, here are 5 big improvements Hogwarts Legacy 2 needs to make. Number 5. Morality system and consequences. I was pretty pumped that you were able to learn the unforgivable curses, and the quest line for them was probably the best quest line in the game, to be fair. But it's really weird that they are the unforgivable curses. If you use any one of them, you're supposed to get a life sentence in Azkaban, but you use them in the game and nobody cares. Nobody says anything. It's so weird. You can use it in front of adults, children, anybody, and nobody cares. Nobody says anything about it. It's such a weird thing that they they put them in the game and they make a big deal about the quest line for them, but there's absolutely no consequences for using them. This is actually part of a larger issue where, by and large, choices within the game are superficial at best. They don't matter. They don't have an impact on things one way or the other. The world doesn't really react to anything that you do in any meaningful way. So, in the inevitable sequel, this is something that they have to do better at. There needs to be some deep choices that actually matter. Consequences for what you do. A morality system. There's got to be something. This part of the game was incredibly shallow, so it definitely needs to be addressed in the sequel. I don't particularly enjoy playing evil characters anymore. When I was younger, I did. For whatever reason, as I'm older, I actually prefer playing a good character. But I don't like not having the option to have a character kind of be good or evil or something in between. There's a couple minor decisions where your character will react a little differently kind of towards the end, but beyond that, you're a good person who just also happens to be able to sling the unforgivable curses around with reckless abandon and throw caution to the wind there. So I don't know, it's very strange. Number 4. Expanded spell list. Just to get it out of the way, it sucks that the Patronus charm was not in the game. It was a miss, as I spoke about in a previous video. But barring that, this isn't really so much a complaint as just kind of, the evolution of how sequels work, right? We were given a very good spell list in this game, including the unforgivable curses, which is great. Really good cross-section of different spells that we were given. But in the sequel, you have to expand on that. You can't just give us the same ones again. There needs to be more. Obviously, the Patronus is number 1 on that list. You have to have it in the next one. Just have to do it. Me and many other people would be absolutely pissed if it was left out of the next one. Beyond the Captain Obvious answer of the Patronus, a few more that I really like to see would be, I'd love to see the Levicorpus spell. That non-verbal one from Half-Blood Prince where it hangs you upside down by your ankle. That would be an awesome one to break out against enemies in the game. I'd love that one. Another cool one that I'd like to see, and it wouldn't be something that would really be used in combat, I don't think. Something that could be used possibly in conversations would be the, I'm going to pronounce it incorrectly, the Lega Lemons spell, the spell to read minds. I'd love to see that one make an appearance. I think that would be really cool and could possibly present interesting dialogue options. The final example of a spell that I'd love to see included, and again, this isn't a complete list of everyone that I'd love to see. These are just a few that I just wanted to call out specifically. But the final one is Sectum Zempra, which is the laceration curse. It's also from Half-Blood Prince, and Harry uses it on Malfoy and really messes him up So that would be a really cool one to include. It's dark. It's a dark one, but it would be a really neat one to include. Number 3, deeper RPG mechanics. As far as RPGs go, Hogwarts Legacy was pretty shallow. There wasn't a whole lot for somebody who's a big fan of RPGs to really sink their teeth into in terms of systems and things like that. First and foremost, I'd like to see an actual stat system beyond health, offense, and defense. I'd love to see some attributes like, I don't know, not exactly like D&D, obviously, but something along those lines, with like strength, agility, intellect, something that makes more sense within the lore of Harry Potter. But I think that would open up the game to lots of cool possibilities. Kind of tied in with the idea of there being actual proper stats is I want wand selection to mean something. Now, I loved the set piece of picking your wand, the length, the type of wood, the core that it had. That was cool, but it was purely cosmetic. It meant nothing. It would be amazing if, tied in with the attributes that I mentioned, the various choices you make for your wand will give you, positive attributes or negative attributes based off of your selections. I think that would be really cool and would add a layer of depth to it, and it would make it more interesting, really. The decision that you making your wand actually has an impact, and it opens up the possibility of being able to go back and buy another wand or just customize the one that you already have, because currently in Hogwarts Legacy it's static. You pick your wand the one time when you go to Ollivander's in Hogsmeade, and then that's it. That's it for the game. That's your wand. Another thing I'd love to see in character creation, it would be cool if you could pick your blood status. Like if you're a pure blood or a muggle-born or a half-blood. And it could have impact on, relationships with other characters, dialogue, story. There's all kinds of possibilities. It would be really cool, and I'd love to see something like that. It'd be a cool thing to kind of differentiate playthroughs. I think that would be fantastic. I would love to see them do something like that. Will they? Who knows? I don't know. Probably not, but I'd love to see that. I think it would be a really interesting kind of avenue to go down. Another RPG mechanic that I'd like to see fleshed out more is the talent tree. Now, they did do it. They created the talent tree, and I'm glad they included it in the game. But most of it was pretty shallow. With the exception of the dark arts branch, which had some neat stuff in it. Most of it wasn't very interesting and didn't really fundamentally change anything. I would really like a talent tree that would encourage the player to really pick a play style and go with it. Because with this one, with the exception of, the dark arts one kind of pushes you towards that, and there's a stealth tree, but I don't know. I just found the whole thing to be a little shallow. Not completely useless, obviously. There was a couple tweaks in there that were helpful, but for the most part, it wasn't really super interesting stuff. It was kind of just, oh, okay. Oh, this spell will affect 2 people now instead of 1. Cool. Yay. It just, I don't know, it wasn't very inspired. So I'm hoping this will be a lot more robust in the sequel. And I don't think I'm the only person that's had this complaint either, so I would imagine this will probably see some love in the next one and be a lot more interesting. Last but not least, I'd like to see the house selection matter. Now, yes, I know there was that one, very, very quick, unique quest towards the beginning of the game, depending on which house you were in, but that's not enough. That was so tacked on. Like, it just was, it was almost a waste of time. I really want a concrete reason to play through the game 4 times with each of the different houses. I want there to be different quests. I want there to be different reactions to you based off of which house you're in. I really want differentiation. I played through Hogwarts Legacy. As I said, I've I made a character from each house, but there's not really a reason to, other than just to experience that quest. Really, you're better off playing through the game once completely and then just starting a new game for the 3 other houses and seeing that one quest early in the game and then not playing anymore with them, because you're getting the same experience. There's no differentiation whatsoever beyond that. I think a lot of people have had this same complaint, so I wouldn't be surprised if this does actually get addressed in the sequel. Will it be as robust as many of us want? Probably not, but I have to imagine they will do more than just that one throwaway quest that they did in this one. Number 2, better side quests and Hamlet content. It's sad to say they went with the quantity over quality approach when it comes to side quests. Don't get me wrong, the relationship quests that you have with fellow students are wonderful, particularly the ones with Sebastian. Those ones are a real standout, but the rest of them just feel very cut and paste and seem like they could really be at home in an Assassin's Creed game. It's great that they decided to add so many hamlets and that the map is a decent size, but I don't know, I think their time might have been better served having a smaller map, less hamlets, but the ones that were there kind of being more meaningful. Other than Feldcroft, which has some cool, quests, story ones, and some others associated with it, the rest of them just feel very cut and paste. Like, they could cut half of them and you wouldn't even notice, really. All the same kind of generic couple of quests, and there's just not much there unless you're a completionist, which I'm not, so I don't feel personally the need to go to every single one and do every single quest that they offer. It just gets tedious after a while. And just the quest variety as well, right? Like, it'd be neat if there was some varied objectives. Usually it's just go here, kill this, or collect that. It's like an MMO in that way. There should be more puzzle solving, mystery, some moral dilemmas, some choices to be made with some of these quests. I think there's a few that offer a surface level kind of choice, quote unquote, but nothing really memorable, with the exception again of the Sebastian quests and the Unforgivable Curses. It would be amazing if side quests could have a real impact on the state of the world in the game. It would be great if choices made within side quests actually carried some weight, because at this point they mostly just feel like filler, with the few standout ones that are quite good. Number 1, deeper NPC interaction and world interactivity. I think the game does a great job of populating the world with NPCs. There's a good amount of them, and they cluster in areas that it makes sense, which is great, but they're just background decoration, which is unfortunate. I'd love it if you actually could interact with all the different students at Hogwarts instead of just ones that are within your year and have the classes that you have. And even with them, you can only really interact with them, pre-class or post-class for a couple of scripted lines. It's really too bad. When they're out wandering the castle, if you happen to run into them, they don't have anything to say. Not to you anyway, and you're not able to really interact with them. All they will do is kind of just glance at you and walk around you. Beyond just being able to communicate with them at will, it would be amazing if you could, actually cast spells and things on them. A big part of the books is Fred and George, being practical jokers and playing pranks and stuff on people. It would be amazing if you could actually interact with students in that way as well, prank them and play jokes on them, things like that, or if they could do it even to you. I don't know, I'm spitballing here a little bit, but I just thought that sounded like an interesting idea. I'd also like to see more of a routine for characters. I think at this point they just kind of wander around aimlessly almost, but I mean, people that belong in houses will be in their own house common rooms and things like that, and they'll kind of just wander throughout the castle. And you'll see some variety. I mean, some characters will carry books, some will be playing games, some will be casting some spells, things like that. But it'd be amazing if they actually had schedules, like if you knew at a certain time, Sebastian was going to be in a certain spot, or Ominous, or any of the characters. I just think, yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement with the various NPCs. just before kind of wrapping up this section, I do need to be fair. The NPCs aren't totally oblivious to what's going on around them. If you are casting spells around them and directing them at them, they do have a bit of a reaction, but it's not too much. It's kind of, as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of like the bare minimum. They don't react too much, just kind of a little bit, but nothing you do really impacts them, and again, you're not able to speak with them. So it's not completely oblivious, but it's not far from that. Well, there you have it. There were 5 big improvements that Hogwarts Legacy 2 needs to make over the original. Am I crazy? Am I wrong? What sort of improvements do you think the game needs to make? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, and if you're not subscribed and you like the content that I'm making, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell to not miss anything that I'm doing. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.